Hello everyone, Nitpicky Bastard here, picking apart movie inaccuracies, because reasons. In 1990, Amblin Entertainment brought us a sweet love story about an outcast unknown by society. Plucked from his home in Venezuela and brought to Southern California against his will. While there, he finds a mate with which to have many children who in turn go on to rampage and murder the inhabitants of a small town. I am of course talking about Arachnophobia. Spiders scare a lot of people. In fact, some reports state as much as 1 in 10 people are afraid of them. Arachnophobia capitalizes on that fear by taking an unknown species of spider from Venezuela, dropping it into a Southern California town, then breeding it with a local spider to create hundreds of death babies. What makes the movie particularly unnerving is that it doesn't dwell on too many fantastic elements, and instead leans on the possibility of realism. People will find spiders or other insects travel with them on trips or vacations all the time. Most often those transfers won't amount to much when they arrive at a climate that can't support them, but sometimes invasive species will find a niche in the ecosystem and thrive.
Hey, look! Those frogs are eating all our crops!
That's what happens when you introduce foreign species into an ecosystem that can't handle them.
With that in mind, the movie takes the bold leap of asking what might happen if an aggressive and venomous spider is able to find a mate and successfully breed an army of murder children. For the film, they used Australia's flat huntsman, sometimes called Avondale spiders, to portray the demonic offspring, which are actually pretty much harmless to humans. But it does beg the question, is it even possible? Well, we have to look at a few things. Part 1. The sexy nuances of hybridization. First, what is this new spider? Being a previously undiscovered species means we don't know specifically. What we do know is that there are a ton of tarantula species in Amazonia, of which Venezuela is but a small part. Given the basic structure of what we start calling the general, it's pretty clear it is at least some sort of tarantula. That means that while we may not know the species, we can safely put it under the Theraphosidae family. Second, and even more importantly, what is the other floozy spider that the general mates with? Well, it's supposed to be a southern house spider, Cucilcania hibernalis. We see after the Jenningses first move into their house, Molly must take care of a spider found in a box because both Ross and their son Tommy are afraid of them. This house spider has moved to the barn at the same time we see the general crawl in through a hole in the wall. This idea is furthered by entomologist James Atherton, played by Julian Sands, who says,
"Somehow that South American male has mated with the domestic house spider and created a very deadly strain."
But that has a series of flaws. Now, obviously there are plenty of hybrids out there. You can cross a lion and a tiger, a donkey with a horse or a zebra, even an orca with a bottlenose dolphin. But the one thing that all of these have in common is that even if they're not from the same species, or even the same genus, they are from the same family classification.
You seem to be the foremost authority on the West Coast, or, well, any coast, for that matter.
As an entomologist, he should know that it's almost impossible, because a house spider isn't even in the Theraphosidae family like the general should be. It's in the Philistidae family. That makes their genetic compatibility almost non-existent. Another, shall we say, large issue, and pun fully and horribly intended, is the size. When the general is seen doing his creepy spider porn, the female is almost a quarter of his size. A female common house spider, or southern house spider in California, has a body that only measures an inch across at the largest. Spiders breed by intercourse. It would be incredibly unlikely for spiders, whose females are traditionally larger, to allow breeding in this scenario, let alone have, a spidergina big enough to accept the general's little general. It actually would have made significantly more sense to use a California brown or black tarantula, which are fully indigenous to the area. Using that would have fixed the size problem and also gets us closer to genetic compatibility by making them both inside the same family and species. By now, we can say that we've pretty well proven this isn't possible, but genetics isn't even the only thing standing in their way. Part 2. Getting Lucky, Spider Style. At this point, because the general is an unknown species, we have to go back to making a few generalizations. Spider mating rituals can be incredibly precise and contain a lot of very species-specific activities. This could mean courtship patterns or behaviors. Many tarantula species during their respective mating seasons will tap on the entrance to a female's nest, and they're not even getting to first base unless she comes out of a hole. But that doesn't matter in this case, because the southern house spider mating ritual is ridiculously specific. When a male house spider bumps into a female, the male builds a large web around the female while she just sits there with her judgmental eyes boring into him. When he's done, he pulls on web strands repeatedly to draw the female out of her hole. Then they start a goofy dance where they tap at each other while the male hangs from his web. The whole routine can take well over an hour. And speaking of which, the breeding seasons may be distinct. I found no evidence that there is actually a mating season for the common house spider, but tarantulas in Amazonia tend to mate during the 6-month summer, which is the hottest part of the year, or the months of February through August. The movie does not actually say when it takes place. Part 3. Additionally clever spider-related sex pun. So let's say for a moment that being from different families and species wasn't an issue, and that, I don't know, the general got this house spider wasted and she forgot all about her inhibitions and need for specific courtship rituals. Even if mating does occur, there's also the high probability that antigenic reaction to the sperm of other species would prevent fertilization anyway. Basically, the female spider's body would see this particular spider spooge as foreign cells that would need to be destroyed. But okay, fine. Let's take a serious leap and pretend even after all of that, they still make their adorable little murder horde. Dr. Atherton has brought the body of a crushed baby and makes some really damn weird observations.
No sex organs.
That would make them drones. Or soldiers. You see, that's typically seen in highly organized insect societies, bees, ants, but we've never seen it in spiders.
He gives an explanation the babies are drones, but that is a term used for male bees, which do have bee boners, by the way, considering their entire existence is to impregnate the queen, which is completely made up for any species of spider ever. Then the spider is also referred to as a soldier, most commonly used for a sterile case within ant and termite colonies, implying that these spiders use some sort of hive hierarchy with queens and drones and soldiers combines a ton of social behaviors of things from bees to termites, but has absolutely nothing to do with spiders. I'd almost be willing to run with this as a concept if they had actually shown a hive, or at least hive behavior. But instead of a queen with drones and soldiers and workers, every spider's job is bitey death monster. One last thing I should mention, which I promise are not lies brought on by Big Spider, is that spiders do not seek out to attack humans. Spiders don't want to bite things 6,000 times their own size. They will generally run away until they're cornered and only bite if they feel scared or trapped. Even those that attack if you mess with their webs do so as a defense mechanism. In general, spiders are not territorial like wasps, and they don't have a taste for blood like ticks, which are also arachnids. All of these things combined mean that this chance occurrence in a lonely barn with these two lovers would not let them raise a homicidal family of little baby spiders. They'd have to look into some kind of spider adoption program. Bad news for the writers of the movie, but good news for you arachnophobes out there. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you like what you saw, why don't you, I don't know, subscribe and click the little bell icon thingy, or check out the various social medias. Things like Facebook and what have you. If you feel like showering me with all of your monies, we have a Patreon. You can get special access to early videos or other things that don't show up for you normal viewers who decide that our efforts are not noble enough for your hard-earned cash. Links to all of those things are in the video description, so feel free to scroll ever so slightly downward. If you have any movies or parts of movies or television shows that you'd like me to cover, or any general questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. Tune in next time when we pick apart another movie, because reasons.